Oh man, it's that time already. Let's get back into this. It's a special Gunner stream over here on the channel. Let me welcome you in. Here we go. Hey there, friends. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it might be in your part of the world. There it is.
Greetings, my excellent friend.
It is so good to see you. My name is Jeff Fritz, and today is October 2nd, 2025. And we're going to learn a little bit about AI and write some code today. And we're going to do something to show folks that are out there watching on the Gunner channels with us today. We're going to build some things together using some tools that you can get your hands on for free. We're going to use some things that don't require any real investment. You can get started with all these things for free. You can learn about how to use them, no charge to you, and it doesn't matter what kind of computer you have. You'll be able to get started and do a little bit of programming like we're going to do today. No questions asked, real easy for you to get started and try out building. In today's sample, we're going to talk about building a Discord chatbot. We're going to take a look at what's involved with that, and then when it comes time to actually publish and run your chatbot, that's where we're going to need to do some things to figure out exactly where we want to host and how that gets deployed. But in the meantime, let me say hello to some of our friends that are tuning in. I see some folks on Twitch watching. Hello, hello over there. I see Ergen Rod and I see Dr. Talk. How you doing there, Cam? Welcome in. Jean Valjean is here. Hello, hello. So, yes, that's right, Mythin, live again today. How you doing there? We had a good morning stream, getting into some other little bit more in-depth developer topics on my channels. And this afternoon, because we're bringing in our friends on the Gunner channels, we want to show something and get started and introduce some folks who might not be familiar with software development, show them some neat ways to do something that they might find useful, and solve some problems for them. I've got my Echo Gunner glasses on today. I love the Echo glasses because they're wide. They're a nice wide amber computer lens. These are the 65% amber lenses. Typically, they look yellow, and they make you look like you've got the same yellow lenses as if you were on the shooting range, and that's okay. It helps to block out the blue light, right? That's the number one thing we get our Gunner glasses for. But it also is curved so that it creates this little micro ecosystem up against your eyes to increase a little bit of humidity there. The Echo glasses I like because they wrap around just a little bit and they're just wide enough for my big head, so that they create a scenario here where I can't really look out the sides in my peripheral and see blue light, see light without going through the lenses. So I really like these because it keeps me in the blue light combating mode, looking through the yellow lenses. So I'm a big fan of these. We've got a couple other pairs of glasses that we'll get into today and swap into. But I want to introduce the topic, get into this a little bit, and have some fun and talk to you out there about some of the things that you're doing, working with software. Maybe you work in tech, maybe you don't work in tech, and you want to learn ways that you can make your job easier. We'll talk about all those things and answer your questions as we're going along here and having a good time learning and doing a little bit more with tech. So, let me introduce the topic today. So, I don't know if you know this, but our friends at Gunner have a Discord server, and many companies have a Discord server. Maybe you've got a Slack system that you're using, or you use Zoom doesn't really have this, but maybe you use Teams, and you've got these different things that people want to do, and they want to communicate, and you want to automate a little bit of what's going on in there, stuff that happens again and again and again. And that's where introducing a chatbot can help. And you can get started without knowing a bit of technology. So we'll introduce that and talk about how we can build a chatbot, in this case, for Gunner's Discord server that will answer questions and about the various glasses that they have, and maybe do some other fun things along the way as we build out this little project. How you doing there? Biz61 on Twitch is chiming in and saying, I might be in the market for some new glasses soon. Glad this showed up. You're watching on Twitch. Check out just below in the About section of my channel. There is a link and a coupon code. If you use the coupon code C#, you're going to get 15% off your next pair of Gunnar glasses. I get a little pay on that also, but you get that 15% off. That's the important part here. We want to save you a couple bucks. So you wish they had more options for folks that have heavy prescriptions. So if you take a look at the prescription configuration, they do have, I forget what it's called. They do have an option that allows you to get lighter lenses. I was just looking at this the other day, and if we click in here, I'm just going to bring up one of these real quick. These are the new Mammoth glasses. These are really wide glasses that I'm looking at. Over here, let me bring these up. And if I choose to get prescription, I want to customize my lenses here. Yeah, I'm clicking you. Right, prescription. I'm waiting. Let me try a different pair. I thought I saw a spinner there, but let's try the Siri glasses here. Prescription. And there we go. Customize lenses. Here we go. So maybe you have single vision distance. There's a high index option here you can get that will allow you to get a thinner lens if you have a higher prescription. If you have a heavy prescription, this will help you get a lighter lens to go with the glasses. So that's an option that you can do as well. If you're a plus or minus 4, it will help you with that. So I don't know what they top out at on their prescriptions, but that's definitely something you can do. All right, let me dive into the topic today. I'm going to play some music in the background while we're going here. I'm going to play some synthwave music. This is just kind of groovy music to have in the background while we're writing some code. This is called Serenity. This is music from streambeats.com. This is music that is free for anybody to use. It's royalty free. Check it out. There's all kinds of genres available. I like listening to synthwave or EDM music, but they've got rock, they've got R&B. Check it out. Streambeats.com. Big thanks to Harris Heller and his team of creators for this music we're listening to today. There it is. There's the indicator of what song we're listening to. So I'm going to create what's called a repository, a source code repository for the code that we're going to write out on GitHub, right? GitHub is a website. It's a service that allows you to store not just code, but text, images, and it keeps track of changes. So we call this type of interaction a source code repository because it manages and keeps track of all the changes, and then you can see differences in how your files change along the way. So I'm going to create a repository over here to work with this project that we're going to start up to generate a Discord chat bot for our friends at Gunnar. So before I get into that, before I go diving too far into it, I need some ideas. I want to figure out where I want to get started, and this kind of blank sheet of paper problem, I like to go over and start talking to one of the AIs. So the large language model, you can throw ideas at it, and it will come back and give you suggestions. It'll give you some information about planning on a project, and we can just do a little bit of that right now to get some ideas, start the ball rolling, figure out what we need, any configuration that we need to look at, and we'll start to slowly figure out exactly what our project is going to be, and then start layering in the code that we're going to write, the configuration with Discord, and the connection out to our friends at Gunnar at their website, so that we can start presenting and sharing information about Gunnar glasses on their server. Let's take a look here. So I'm actually going to dictate a little bit because I think it's easier to work with when you're dictating. So I have the text-to-speech turned on right here. You see the little microphone button there, and this is a feature that's in Windows. I am using Windows. So if you use Windows H, it turns on the little dictation thing up there, and you'll see it fills in where my cursor is, whatever text that is that I'm saying. It transcribes it and writes it into the box for me. I can press the space key, any key, and it will stop transcribing at that point, and I can go back and make changes. So let me just start doing a little bit of dictation. So once again, I'll do Windows H. Hey, I'd like to build a Discord chat bot for my friends at Gunnar Glasses. Period. I'd like it to be built with C#, comma, run in a container, comma, be built as a console application, comma. No, I don't even want to tell it that it's going to be built as a console application. And that should be C#. And that's a programming language that I have experience in. So I'm going to specify the programming language I want here. So I want it to run in a container, and that's a way for us to make our application portable. So we can take it and place it on different servers, different hosting providers, run it locally, package it up and move it, just like if it was on a thumb drive that you were to take from computer to computer. So I'd like it to be built with C#, run in a container, and answer questions as well as provide images from the Gunnar website for questions about various models of Gunnar glasses. Period. How can I get started? Question mark. And let's see what Copilot has for us. Yes, I'm human. I'm either human or a Gunnar influencer who lives in a box here. One of those. So set up a development environment. Make sure I have the latest .NET SDK. That .NET SDK is a series of tools that allows us to write that software and turn it into a program that we can run. Hey, Joystick Nick, there's one of our friends. How you doing there? I already have Docker installed, so Docker is what allows me to package that application so I can take it from machine to machine to the cloud services, hosting providers, and whatnot. Is that a dictation button on the bottom of the Copilot input area? Yes. I don't particularly like using that one. Let me close the browser a little bit. I don't particularly like that one. I have many audio inputs here. First off, Chris Jones
just resubscribed for 75 months.
Thank you.
Evening all. Good
evening to you. Thank you so much for that resub. 75 months. That is awesome. Thank you so much for that support. So I don't like using this dictation button. I have many audio inputs on my system. So when I use that, it can get a little, right? It's going to prompt me here.
Hey, welcome back. Let me know if you want to dive deeper into any part of that, or if you're feeling like jumping into some code right away.
I'm not a fan of this because I have to reconfigure this every time. So yeah, I know. So by using the operating system configured one, it's just available in every application I use, whether it's the browser, Notepad, a word processor, even a code editor. It works the same in all those places. Hello there, Thindall. Good to see you. Urban Blaster is here. Welcome in. Yeah, you can see why. So how's it going there? Texas 2010. Welcome in. We got a lot of friends here watching on my Twitch channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. And we've got some other folks that are going to be watching over on the Gunnar channels today. We've got our Gunnar label up because we're broadcasting with them. You did a boo-boo today? Uh-oh. How you doing there, Surly Dev? Good evening to you. So let me dive in a little more as to what Copilot suggests for getting started here. So we're going to build a Discord chatbot in C# that runs in a container. So Docker Desktop, I was explaining what that is. We're going to go to the Discord developer portal, and we're going to create a chatbot over there. Okay. Let me get to that in just a minute. But here it says build the bot in C#. Using the Discord.net library, which is the most popular C# wrapper for the Discord API. And it has a program definition here. This is some C# code that gives the computer instructions about how to interact with, in this case, Discord. And we'll take a look at that. And here it's interacting with and getting the Discord token, the authorization. Think of that like a password to allow my program to speak to Discord. We're going to log in, and then we're going to start listening over there. And then there's a couple of options here of things we're going to do when we receive messages. And it's misspelled Gunnar because I didn't have it spelled right in the prompt. So we'll think about that. Most popular rapper, what's their SoundCloud? That's right. That's right. They're one of those rappers. They got a mean beatbox out there, let me tell you. So we can add Q&A and image capabilities. We can add in the Azure Q&A maker, which actually they're deprecating. So I think this is something that we're going to have to extend a little bit and ask some more questions about. And then we're going to containerize. And here's some code that will allow us to take our application, package it, and put it inside of that container so it can be used in various places. And then we're going to build and run like this and deploy and maintain. That's not bad, but I've got some questions, some problems with that. Let's see if we can get a little bit more information and tune some of what Copilot is giving us here. I don't think the Azure Q&A maker service is going to be sticking around, comma. It looks like it's being deprecated, period. What about using something like a vector database, maybe Quadrant, and vectorize some of the data from the Gunnar website, as well as questions that folks are asking, so that we can get some pretty good results from our chatbot. And let's see what it has to say there. What happened here? You got a headache at about 3 p.m., took a pill, went to lie down on the couch, you woke up again at 9. You got to take care of yourself, my friend, and that is not a bad thing. Just got to time shift a little bit, you're going to be all right. You don't know why AI would throw code when we just want to research or get information. Well, I did tell it up here. I did give it some suggestions that I do want to write some code. So it's going down that line of suggesting some things. So you're absolutely right. It's starting to sound like Claude here. Azure Q&A Maker has been deprecated in favor of cognitive search with integrated semantic capabilities. But even that might not be ideal for a lightweight containerized Discord bot. Use a vector database like Quadrant, right? It looks like Qdrant, but it's pronounced Quadrant. Is a smart move, especially if you want semantic search over product data and user questions. Here's how you can architect. Okay, here we go. So we can extract and vectorize Gunnar website data. I need to correct it about the spelling there. Crawler scrape product info, so we can use a scraper like the HTML agility pack in C# or Python's beautiful soup. Okay, we want to extract product names, descriptions, specifications, image URLs, categories. All right. Vectorize the text, so we're going to embed the model. Now, vectorizing is a cool big math way to describe. We're going to take a look at a block of text, identify the meaning of that block of text, and we're going to plot it on a graph. Now, that graph isn't two-dimensional like you and I are used to seeing on a screen or on a piece of paper. that graph is actually many, many, many dimensions. And the vector that we create, a vector is just a line that points in a direction. So the vector that it's going to create to represent the meaning of that block of text originates somewhere on this literally hundreds of dimensions graph and points in a direction. And the human mind can't even comprehend more than 4 dimensions, right? We get past 4 dimensions and it gets a little weird, right? 2 dimensions is flat, like you're seeing the picture here. 3 dimensions is when we get into 3D space and you start seeing things that are, right, have some depth to them. And the 4th dimension is time, right? When we get out to 300 dimensions, what the heck does that mean? I don't know. But the computer can figure that out and calculate across that and assign some sort of meaning to what that text is. And there are tools and libraries and models like Ada 002 here that we can use to take some text and turn it into a vector. We can then take that vector and store it in our Quadrant database. Then we can look it up and turn that into more interesting data later. You have no time for 300 dimensions. Thanks, McNets. Yeah. No. When you see how fast it's able to turn our text into something that represents that, it's pretty impressive. And then we are able to search and interact with that very, very quickly. Little known fact, the 5th dimension is pizza. Really? The pepperoni dimension enters. 33rd dimension is clowns. Oh no, this can't be good. Quadrant is a high-performance vector database with a REST API and Docker support. REST API is just a pair of acronyms that means that I can interact with that database using the same technology that the browser uses for me to go navigate websites. I can use that same technique to interact with the database. That's all that is. So we're going to run Quadrant in Docker, and there's a command here that helps us start that up and run it. And we can start pushing some vectors into Quadrant. And look at this. It recognized that it had the wrong spelling of Gunnar, and it found the actual Gunnar's website. Okay, I don't think that's quite right, and it's looking for the vertex, the vertex model of glasses, right? Is that still a thing, right? Gunnar.com, and we'll go look for the vertex. Is that still a thing? Yeah, there it is. That's a pretty standard pair of glasses. All right. So, the 5th dimension is Bruce Willis. Oh. So, 4th dimension is time. 5th dimension is Bruce Willis. Does that mean the 6th dimension is pizza and the 33rd dimension is clowns? Okay. Don't have the chatbot on to do hat detection today. Continuing here. No, I don't want you to access my location right now. So once we have that, then we can integrate with the Discord bot. So embed the query using the same model, search Quadrant for nearest neighbors. So nearest neighbors is a way for us to say, hey, that vector that we're going to turn your question into, find the other vectors that are close to it on the graph. And those are somehow going to be related to that question you're asking. So we can grab that and use that as a response. And this creates that basic Q&A that you see a lot of websites have. But we're going to embed it in Discord. So, example responses. So, I'm not sure I trust that block of code, but we'll pivot and use a more code-oriented AI to help us generate that. We're not going to build an ML model so much as we're going to just vectorize some data to make it easier to get started. And we might do some more of that in a future stream. So We can log user queries and responses. That might be interesting so that marketing knows, hey, here's some other information you might be, that folks on our Discord server are looking for. Periodically fine-tune the embedding model or expand the vector database with new questions and answers. Okay. You can even cluster similar questions to improve retrieval. True. You can help write the scraper? Set up quadrant, or even generate embeddings. Want to start with Gunnar's product catalog or setting up the vector database schema? Well, let's do this. I think I have some ideas here, but let's give it a little more. I'm going to hand off the coding features of this tool to GitHub Copilot. Period. For now, I want to discuss possible features that we want to support with this chatbot. Period. I think some simple questions like, what type of glasses should I wear if I have a larger head, or if I want a pair of prescription glasses? I'm really interested in Blizzard games. These are questions that I want the initial chatbot to be able to handle. Period. What other features could we add to this chatbot for our friends at Gunnar Glasses? I'm going to change that. So, here we go. Great call handing off to GitHub Copilot. Frees us up to focus on vision and experience. No pun intended there with the vision reference. Talking about a glasses chatbot. You're already thinking in the right direction with personalized recommendations and themed product suggestions. That's right. I've done this before. Let's brainstorm a feature set that makes this bot genuinely useful, fun, and aligned with Gunnar's brand. All right, chat room, help me out here. Let's take a look at what it has. If there's things that stick out, or if you have an idea that we should add in here, let's brainstorm some features. So, product finder. What glasses are best for gaming? Models support prescription lenses. Good for outdoor use or driving. Okay. I have a wide face. Do you have smaller frames for kids or petite faces? Not bad. Style matcher. I love Blizzard games. I stream on Twitch. Image and link sharing. Show product images, specs, purchase links. That's a good one. Purchase links. Yeah. Premium features. Nice to have a personalized quiz. Ask a few questions, recommend a model, order status and support. Where's my order? How do I return a pair? That's going to need a little bit of work from our friends at Gunnar to integrate that. I'm not sure I can get that built as part of this series we're going to do on the channel. How do I clean my lenses? Can I use alcohol wipes? Okay, that's not bad. Explain the various lens types, the benefits of blue light filtering, why Gunnar's tech is different. Those are great. Fun and community features, promotions and deals, social showcase, show me people wearing, okay. Easter eggs, do you believe in magic? Only if it's pixel, okay. Voting and feedback, which new frame color should we launch? Let users vote or suggest ideas. Okay. Voice support, not sure about that. AR try-on integration, I think they have that on the website. Affiliate mode, let influencers share links and earn rewards. Retail locator, where can I try these on near me? Yeah, that's kind of cool. You'd love the chatbot to be able to filter frames by SPH so it only shows me ones that support, say, -6.5. Okay, and I don't know if we can get that information off the website, but maybe as an advanced feature that we can add on later after we show this to our friends at Gunnar, and they want to activate this for their Discord server, we can get some of that information to add into the product records to allow those types of queries, and expand the feature set that it supports. Hey, Eldorian, how you doing there? One of the questions you always tend to have, since I have to wear prescription glasses, is how easy is it to get stuff like this so it's prescribed? It's pretty easy. They have the services, they have the features available on the website, and you can just click into, I want the prescription version of these, customize the lenses, choose the lenses appropriate for you, and it wants you to add your prescription. So either enter it manually or upload a file. When you do enter it manually, they do want to see a little bit of a record from a doctor, so that they can tell that there is some authority behind it, because they don't want to send you a pair of glasses that are the wrong prescription and you go, oh, these don't work, and you end up in a in some sort of customer service loop with them. They want to make sure that you have good glasses the first time. So not too bad to do, but and then these take, because they make them custom, then I can't remember if it's how long it took to send them out. For the pair that I ordered, it was like 2 weeks or something like that. It wasn't too bad at all. So very much in line with if you were to order from a commercial lab, right? Through your doctor. Definitely not the 1 hour place at the shopping mall, So I like some of these ideas that we have here. So now I want to turn this into a series, into a small, I don't want to call it a design document, but into a summary document that describes the project. So can you generate a brief document in Markdown format that we can pass off to GitHub Copilot that describes this project and gives it some instructions about what we're trying to build? So now Markdown is an easy format that we can use. It's text-based, that uses some very simple indicators to indicate headers, bulleted lists, and so on. But when you read a document like this in Markdown format, it looks very easy to comprehend. You're not seeing a bunch of code around things. It's very clear to see that up top we have a title, Gunnar Glass's Discord Chatbot Project Overview, and it wraps here. It didn't wrap in the window, but it's a Discord chatbot built in C# for the Gunnar Glasses community. It will run in a containerized environment and serve as a helpful assistant for users interested in Gunnar eyewear. The bot will answer questions, recommend products, and share images and links from the Gunnar website. Fantastic. Let's see what else it has here for us. Tech stack, C#, .NET 8. Well, there's a new version of .NET coming in November, so we might want to change this. But as an initial recommendation, that's a supported version. I'm not unhappy with that. And Thindall, you're right in the chat room saying we can use a newer version of that. There's an API package called discord.net that we'll use. We're going to put this into a Docker container so we can package it and take it other places. We're going to provide some semantic search with Quadrant, a vector database, and we're going to do some embedding with OpenAI or Hugging Face. Now, OpenAI, I'm sure folks out there, if you're not familiar with the AI tech, I'm sure you've heard of OpenAI and ChatGPT, right? It's a very common AI tool set that folks have discovered and are using, and you can even get an app on your phone that allows you to interact with it. And you may have seen Randy Marsh on South Park spending way too much time with ChatGPT. But Hugging Face is it sure sounds like it's named after the alien creatures from the movie Alien and the TV series Alien Earth. It's not that. Hugging Face is a group of models, they're called, that provide language model capabilities, allow us to interact and analyze our language and turn it into something else. Hugging Face is a group of these that are all designed and and built in or from the same group of folks. It's not Hugging Face isn't it's an open source group, right? It's a community group, right? I have that right? Core features of the bot we're going to use, and McNet's here in chat. Make sure I answer this. Asks locally for the purposes of us getting started. Sure, we can do that locally, and I'm even going to add into this tech stack a tool called Aspire that will allow us to group all of these together and run them at once. So I'm going to update this as we bring it along here. Some core features. There's answer questions. Fit advisor, I don't know about that. Style advisor, yeah, that's good. Image sharing, okay, that's cool. Vector search, there we go. Use semantic embeddings to match user queries with product descriptions. There we go. And some future feature ideas, cool. Social showcase and Instagram gallery, that'd be fun. How you doing there, Soul Me Soul? Fun fact, Hugging Faces named that because they wanted to be the first company that used an emoji as their name. That's great. I did not know that. So thank you so much. It is Hugging Faces, a company. AI community building the future. Yeah. And they make lots and lots of models available. Very cool. Yep. Fantastic. All right. Deployment. Yep, we already talked about that. Secrets and configuration. So how we're going to connect to Discord, how we're going to connect to Quadrant, and the API key for using our embedding service, right? I mentioned that model that's going to do the translation into a vector for us that we can work with. Some notes for GitHub Copilot, focus on modular design, use embed builder for rich Discord messages. Okay. Log user queries for future training or analytics. Yeah. Keep responses concise, friendly, and brand aligned with Gunnar's tone. We can expand on that as we start to develop and specify more about our bot. In Discord chat, how you doing there? Oogly Booglies with a comment here. I wonder if my Discord bot I made years ago still works. I know it's deprecated, but last time I tried it worked. The last version of the API that allowed self-botting on your user account. Give it a try. There are some new restrictions that Discord has around how you interact with text. So that's something to keep in mind and be aware of, right? They're particularly asking people to use slash commands to interact with the bot. McNet's with a follow-up question here. Could this app be used for Q&A on any topic? That's an interesting security question. So for the purposes of a customer service type of bot like this, we probably don't want it answering questions about your math homework, your science homework, right? History of Canada. I don't know. These things you probably don't want it to do, and we probably want it to focus on just topics from the Gunnar product catalog. And by only using embeddings and only having it querying an embedded database instead of using a full large language model like Copilot does, ChatGPT, those services, Gemini, Claude, we can keep it very focused on just the topics that we're going to teach it about. So I'm going to build a more secure bot than the Amazon one, asks Thindall. I wouldn't say that it's secure. In fact, I'd say that it's a little bit dumber. But we're going to keep it focused on just the embeddings and the topics that are on the Gunnar website, right? Because we know that the Gunnar folks have had some marketing people, had some PR, review and improve what we call in the biz, we call the copy on the website, the text, the images that are there. And we want to keep it focused on just those things. And Amazon and some other companies have tried to make their chatbots very, very helpful, and it knows and works with everything, and that gets a little bit dangerous because chatbots only AI chatbots work with the content that they've been loaded, right? And this goes back to an old programming axiom: garbage in, garbage out. If you put hateful text into the training material for a chatbot, it's going to be mean and put some of that hateful message coming out of it. We don't want that. We want it to be helpful and encouraging and try to make some sales here for our friends at Gunnar. So we can avoid that and do a little bit more with this. How am I doing, chat room? I know there's a number of regulars here. Am I doing all right? Am I explaining things well for the for some of the non-technical folks or folks that are watching on the Gunnar website? We're even on the Gunnar Instagram right now, right? We're on the Gunnar Instagram, and let me know. I think we're in a good place here, right? Let me know, chat room. I think my tone's doing pretty good. I think they mean we can easily use this code for vibing a different situation. Yes, I think you're right, Dr. Talk. We're gonna focus on a particular vertical, right? The Gunnar website, but to take some of this content, some of this logic, and point it to the neighborhood pet store. Sure, I should work similarly there. There you go, Findall. I'm not going to do these couple things. We're going to get into that in just a second. Let me go over here to my GitHub, right? My source code repository. And I'm going to create a repository that's publicly available that we will share and work on. And so that our friends at Gunnar and you out there that are watching can take a look at and see this evolve. Now, I haven't told the folks at Gunnar that I'm building this. There's no requirement on them that they add this to their Discord, but we're going to put it out there. We're going to give it a try. And if we get somewhere that they like it, great. If we don't, that's okay too. We've learned something along the way. So I'm going to call this Gunnar Chatbot. I think that's easy, right? A simple chatbot that will run in Discord for the Gunnar Glasses Discord server to provide some simple question and answer features about their product set. That's not bad. Okay. Yeah, we'll make this public. Start with a template. No, I don't want a template. Yes, I'd like a README and ignore file. So README is just a block of text that explains what the project is. I'm going to be using the Visual Studio git ignore. That's a list of files that we don't want to commit. So there's templated versions for different programming languages and tools. The Visual Studio one works really well for the technology stack I'm using. So I'll just create that repository and we'll get started here. It's going to be our happy little accident. Well, hopefully it's a little bit better than an accident here. So there's my initial space that we're going to be working here. And I'm using the MIT license. This is a permissive license that lets other folks take a look at the source code, examine it, tinker with it. And that's right. If they break what they do with that source code, it's on them. But it also allows folks to copyright it and do more things with it in the future. So, and now I've got sun coming in from my side here. Oh my goodness. Ellieface is here. Hello?
Just resubscribed for 14 months. If I ever see another SCORM file again as long as I live, so help me, there will be consequences. Anyway, hi.
Hello. Welcome in. Thank you so much for that resub. We're getting ready to build a chatbot here for Discord. I hope you've hit the end of your day and you're having a restful, relaxing dinner, getting ready for that here. Folks on the East Coast of the States, getting close to dinner time. And of course, our friends that are watching in Europe, hope you're having a fantastic evening, right? We're getting close to what I would call bedtime over there. So, So I've got this allocated. Now I'm going to create some space here that I can work locally. But I also have an option if I don't want to install and work with tools locally. I have an option here that's called code spaces. Code spaces are a way for us to use computers that GitHub hosts to build and work in the browser. So that's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. But I'm going to work locally here. I'm going to bring this down to my local machine. So I'm going to click into local and copy this address. And I will start to allocate some space to work locally here on my machine. So here's the Windows terminal. Now, and I will execute a command here called git clone. And this is going to use the Git source control software to create some space that is a mirror of what's out there on the GitHub website. So now I can go into that Gunnar Chatbot folder, and there's the initial things that I was working with. Let's create a folder called SRC for source. We're going to start putting some source code in there. Let's allocate an instructions file with those details that Copilot, Microsoft Copilot, created for us. So let me see here. We want to make a directory. This is going to be the .github folder. Yes. We're going to make another directory. No, actually, no, I'm good there. Let me open Visual Studio Code in this folder. And we're going to go over here. You do have feelings. These are the echoes. That's right, DJ Gundam. You are correct. Right? I'll go back over here to my main view. There you go. And the louvers on the window shades over here have fallen open. But these are the echoes. They're pretty large. They've got this rubberized arm back here, and you can see that they're ventilated here, so that they're a little bit lighter and they let some air through as well. So let me zoom this just a smidge, and look at that. Where you're not seeing that. You get the heavy drapes. I do have drapes, but I haven't. It's only this window that I have a problem with, and it's at the end of the day, and I'm not usually streaming at this time of day, so I don't usually have this problem. So I'm going to create a new file here in the GitHub folder, and I'm going to call this Copilot Instructions. .md. MD is the Markdown extension, right? The file extension for Markdown files. Let me head back over to Copilot. I'm going to copy that initial document that it wrote for us and just paste it in there. So we've got a starting point for this that explains a little bit of what's going on. Now, I want to take some of those suggestions that folks like Thindall had to stitch together and do a little bit more here. So I want to use .NET 10. That's the latest version that we're going to be using here. I also want to use Aspire, and that's going to simplify some of these things. So let me go back into this is GitHub Copilot now, right? This is a different Copilot, one that's been trained and optimized in writing code. So here, come here. You're going to make me, there we go. I want to add some more instructions that are specific to my tech stack, period. I'd like to use the Aspire tool to coordinate and orchestrate the resources for this project, period. Let's use Ollama locally to vectorize our data, period. Let's just get that started. You have a lot of experience with gunners. DJ Gundam, yes. I've been doing the the Gunnar glasses for some time myself. Yes. Almost 10 years I've been wearing various Gunnars. What would I say is a good length for a ci.md file? Yours ended up at 260 lines. That is a lot. That is a lot for a Copilot instructions file. There are ways to break it up so that there's different technology stacks in separate instructions files so that the instructions for each one of those different file types, technologies, are only applied and only added when you're working with that type of file. So that may help, and we can talk about and show that in a little bit. DJ Gundam wore Gunnars for a good decade and been partnered with them for the last 3, almost 4 years. Yeah, all right. Yes. Well, thank you. It's good to have another Gunnar ambassador in the room. Appreciate it. Thank you so much for tuning in and joining us here. Just keeping an eye, making sure. Yeah. So it's updated the tech stack, it says. So these are just instructions for the AI. Pro dev notes. Okay. Use .NET Aspire for orchestrating all services, separate message handling, embedding logic, and quadrant queries. Okay. OLAMA integration. So OLAMA is a local tool set that allows us to run vectorization locally. Thank you. That's great. Thank you, DJ Gundam. Yeah. Service discovery. So that allows us to automatically connect these various resources. Use the embed builder for Discord rich embeds. Okay. Some analytics. Log user queries for future training or analytics. Brand voice, keep the responses concise, friendly, and brand aligned. Good. Local development. Fantastic. Tech stack, there's .NET Aspire right there. OLAMA, yes. Local AI, OLAMA for local language model inference. Fantastic. Core features, and here's some of the deployment information. So we're going to have the Discord bot, our vector database, and our AI service to do the embeddings. And then we'll have these couple of configuration items that we'll need to deal with. We're going to define all the services in the Aspire host project. Terrific. So I'm going to keep these changes, right? The gold areas here, gold, brown, green, right? Those are what's been added, and the stuff that's in burgundy up there, those are the things that are being removed or changed. So I'm going to keep those changes because they meet my needs. Let me see here. Hey, Urban Blaster. They're asking, is vectorizing the same as embedding? Yes. Vectorizing is just a big math way to describe how that embedding is done. It's being turned into a vector of many, many dimensions. And it's going to save what that vector's information is into the database. And because a vector is just a series of numbers, turns out computers are really, really good at comparing numbers. And less is much, more is good. I can't talk right. About dealing with and analyzing text. Hey there, CTI Geek. Good afternoon to you in Virginia. Hope you're having a fantastic afternoon. So I think this is enough to get this piece started. That's right. Less is more. Why use many word if few word do job? Oh boy. Here we go. Bunga bunga. Captain Caveman Coder here. When you hear vector, you think of vector graphics. You're on the same path, DJ Gundam. Yes. But we're thinking vector like the physics concept that is a, right? It is a direction that starts at some location and points in another location, and it has a length to it as well. Continuing here, so yeah, that was all the information that I needed there. So next, I'll start allocating and setting up some of the code for this, and we'll start asking the AI to build some of these features. 7 Onyo 46, hello, welcome in. Let's go over here. There's my list of content. I'm going to open a terminal here inside Visual Studio Code so I can just get some down and dirty code written really quickly here. I'm going to create a solution file, and that's just a file that will manage all the code that's working with each other here. And I don't like that it's named src. Can we just rename that for a second and call this Gunnar Chatbot? Right? Fantastic. And it's got a weird format here. Doesn't matter. It's not meant for humans to read that format. It just allows the computer to group together different programs. I want to set up, yes, the minimum SDK check enabled for Aspire. Features, single file app host. This is a cool new feature that this technology uses that is going to enable us to build and define our application simpler, easier, and faster. So I'm going to do an Aspire new command here. And it's going to prompt me, what are you trying to build here? I don't want the starter template, but I probably should start with some service defaults. Service defaults define the some of the default ways that our program talks to the other resources that we're going to be using here. And I'm just going to call it service defaults because I'm not very creative here. So just give me the latest versions and all that stuff. So it's going to go get some templates, and it's going to create that and put it in this folder that we can see right here. So there's some initial code, and I'm not even going to tinker with that. Just leave it over there. Next, let me create what they call an app host, not .NET. Aspire new. This time, I'm going to choose the single file app host. And you see it's got the experimental tag there. And let me just bring this up a smidge so that the text is above the Gunnar brand there at the bottom. The project name for this, actually, I want this, let's just call this app host. Where do I want it to write it? Write it locally, 9.5. So it's going to write these files right here in the source. So there's app host and an app host run JSON. And this is just a file that tells my code editor, here's how to run this thing. Continuing, though, I have this app host CS. And this uses a cool new format that many developers haven't seen yet, where we have one file that defines the entire C# program. So this uses the C# programming language, and it defines the properties of the project in the first couple lines here with these hash SDK, and there's other hash directives that you'll see at the top. And then we have just a little bit of code that defines the resources we're going to add to this. We know we want a quadrant database. We're going to want to run Olama, and we're going to run a little project that's going to have the logic of our chatbot. So I'll start adding those features next. So I'm gonna not type right. Let's say .NET new and take a look at some of the take a look at some of the templates that are available to us, because I don't want a website. I want a bot. And a bot runs as kind of a service, a background service. So that's service defaults. I want these are all the different templates that we can automatically create a program to get started with here. I think I want a worker service. A worker service is a type of program that kind of runs in the background and does things and isn't really presenting a user interface, right? Our user interface for this chatbot is going to be the text that you type into Discord. So let's start off with this worker service template. So I'm going to say .NET new. The template name is worker, and I'm going to output this in a folder that I'll call chatbot. There we go. And it's going to create and put some initial bits there for us to use. Let me catch up on chat here. Is Embed Builder a Discord tool? I don't think so. I think that's a Markdown thing, but I have to get in and take a look at that. Today, McNet's learned there's an Aspire command line tool. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And there's lots more going into it to make it easier for non.NET folks to use Aspire. So, right, I can, if I run the Aspire help command here, you see I've got a bunch of commands that are available to me. Why did we... There we go. New, run, add a hosting integration. We'll get to that in just a second here. But I'm going to make my chatbot available to this. And that's real easy to do. I can do hash project chatbot. And now Aspire knows. Really? Now Aspire knows about the chatbot project. So I can... You're taunting me. What the... Delete this. So now down here, I could say var chatbot equals, nope, builder dot services dot, nope, add project. And it knows what this is. Projects dot, there it is. So very quickly, chatbot. I'm getting help from the editor to write this little block of code. I could have asked the AI to write some of this for me, but I know the commands. I can type them out myself. You're interested in how I'll use Aspire with a worker service. Oh, what do you see? Oh, yes. Aspire with a worker service runs very, very nicely. Okay. So I have that allocated. I want to add Quadrant, and I want to add Olama. So let's add those in here. Let me clear out this. So I can once again Aspire, and this time I'll say add. And I want to add Quadrant. Let's see what that does. Searching for integrations. Now, an integration is a type of resource that is available out there, has a little bit of description around it that allows you to run an emulator, a smaller version of this locally here on my development machine, so I can go through and do some programming with it and tinker with it, break it without damaging or any problems out there. So I'll just grab the latest version, 9.5, and it added package Aspire hosting Quadrant. Let me do the same thing for Olama. So same deal. I'll just say Aspire add Olama, and it found it. Go ahead and give me 9.8. That sounds good. And it's now added those capabilities into here. I really don't like how you're reformatting that Visual Studio Code. All right. Delete. Vertical selection, kind of cool. All right, so let's create my database. So, that's a good suggestion, but not quite right. Builder, services, add. Come on now. I know you know how to do this. Really? You're going to be difficult like this? I didn't want the services there, did I? There it is. And I have to give it a name, so I'll call this Gunnar DB. I don't know. I can specify an API key for it. Nah, let it go figure it out. And give it all the things for it. I need to actually... we're going to do Olam in a second. Let's call this DB server, though. Hang on. And I'm going to... Come on, where is it? No? All right. Let's set up the AI. That looks right, but I'm not sure if that is right. Add, no, over here. Yep, okay. So now we're gonna add a model. And there's Hugging Face model. But I don't know which model I want to add to do the vectorization. I see some questions there in chat. Give me a second here. I will answer your question. So let me close this, and I'm going to ask Copilot for a little bit of help here. Add a model from Olama that we can use for generating the embeddings that we want to use with our quadrant database. It's not the right spelling, but here we go. Nexio has a question here while that's going. Nexio's been out of the game for 3 days. 3 days? 3 days? 3 years. Okay. Can I suggest where you can best learn up on GitHub Copilot? There's a bunch of places online, YouTube videos where folks have been creating content to teach about how to use Copilot. Honestly, this is gonna sound so dumb, and I'm not trying to be condescending. In the text box, ask it what you can do. It sounds dumb. It does. It's like going to Google and searching for how do you use Google. Trust me, right? Or right, the DVD that tells you how to play DVDs. Like, or the phone number that tells you how to install your phone number. You know what I mean? So, Nexio, ask Copilot what you can do. Then there's some advanced techniques that you get into where you can specify instruction files that provide a little bit of background, a little bit of grounding for what it can do, right? It provides some context. In our case, we set up and we told it, here's the project that we're building. Here's some of the technology that we want to use. And you'll see this kind of grow. And we're using GitHub Copilot. There's a similar technique that you can use for Claude or Cursor, those other tools out there. GitHub Copilot is free to get started with. And you can do some really cool stuff with a completely free account. We're going to dig into and see more of that as we're going through. Hey, Art Dallas, how you doing there? Great to see you. Will I see you next week at the event? Thank you so much for tuning in. A lot of folks are standardizing on Agents MD. Well, right, that's a different set of features. Right, when you start working with Agents MD, there's a little bit more going on there than just instructions for Copilot. So don't have that bot running right now. Fantastic. It'll be great to talk to you next week and hang out, spend some good time together. So continuing here, what this is doing. So I'm using a model here called Claude. Claude's a little bit more descriptive in what it does. So it does a nice job teaching a little bit of what's going on as it makes decisions here. It's kind of nice for when you're learning about some of these topics. So to Nexio, if you sign up for GitHub, you don't have to buy Copilot. You can do some interactions with it completely free using Ask Mode. Okay, Ask Mode is like using a search engine. Just answer some questions. But I'm using agent mode, which allows it to actually do some work. But if you go into Ask Mode and you choose this Claude model, it will teach you about what it's doing. So it's going to get through. When are we going to get to the end here? What do you... Wow, you're really going to town here. Claude also... Claude has the personality of a 7-year-old with ADHD. You tell it to do one thing, and, ooh, squirrel! And it goes and decides to bring in all these other things. And then we're going to do this. Oh, and then it'd be really cool if we could do that. And what about? And it goes and starts doing all these things. And you have to kind of reel it in like a 7-year-old here. Like, I only wanted you to do one thing. I wanted you to write these couple lines of text. And now it's written a handful of other files. Now, don't get me wrong. I may actually want those. I don't know yet, though. So, yeah, it can change unrelated stuff. GPT-5 Mini, so GPT-5, GPT-5 Mini is from the GPT series from OpenAI, right? These are different models. They're different capabilities that are built by different companies. Hey, you're welcome, Nixio. Happy to answer questions and get folks up to speed on stuff. So this is really just going to town, building and doing things here. Now, in this editor, I've turned on, we call it YOLO mode, for you only live once. I've basically told it, you have carte blanche. You can run any command you would like. I trust you. Like I said, it's YOLO mode. It's going to do whatever it wants. And you can see here, it's running and building things. I didn't tell it to build things. It's doing whatever it darn well feels like. And this is where that instructions file is kind of important. So it's going to town here doing something, and eventually it's going to give me a summary of, here's what I did. So here, allow edits to sensitive files. Yeah, sure, you can go ahead and do that. Go. Impress me here, Claude, and our viewers that are watching, because I don't know what you're doing. Yes, you... What are you doing? No. 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 We're using a new .NET 10 and Aspire 9.5 feature with that app host CS file. Don't change it, and don't create an app host project. What do you recommend we do with it? You can run the solution. Yeah. With the Aspire run command. Yeah, what are you doing here, Claude? Sounds like the name of a pesky hockey player that's just going to create havoc all over the ice, and there's going to be blood and just a mess all over. Didn't I set .NET 8 at the beginning? That's a fine question there, Dr. Talk. That was the initial setting that it recommended. Thindall was right in suggesting, you know what? There's a more modern version out there with .NET 10 that we probably want to use. So I actually updated the instructions there to say .NET 10. So you're right. Walter here with a question. Hang on, let me... Yeah, go ahead. You can do that, sure. Walter has a question here asking, can I explain how to create an instruction file for Copilot that it would automatically use? Fantastic. Real easy to do, Walter. Check this out. Let me close that up there. So for Copilot, you have a GitHub folder that is going to be out there that has various things that GitHub uses. Just create a Copilot-instructions .md file in there. It's markdown. Makes it easy to read and parse. Thank you, DJ Gundam, for the follow. I appreciate that. Another one of our Gunnar ambassadors out there. And inside this markdown file, just write markdown as though you were writing some sort of a spec document. Hey, here's the standards and the specification for how you should work with what's inside this set of project folders. And I'm going to go back to the comment that I gave to Nexio just a little bit ago. It sounds stupid. Ask Copilot to help you write one. It sounds so dumb to say that, but trust me on this. It'll help you generate one, and you can iterate on it and do some things with it. That's running now. You're going to figure out that that's running. There's one resource I want to show you here. Speaking of writing instructions files, there's a great resource out there. It's Awesome Copilot. I think that's what it is. Yeah, here we go. Awesome GitHub Copilot customizations. And I'm going to share this link into the chat on my Twitch channel, and that should get copied over to the folks on the YouTube channel. So what this has in it is a bunch of instructions and other configuration things that you can drop into Visual Studio Code that will help you customize for your scenario. Now, these are a good starting point. They're a good jumping off point for you to start at and customize and add the capabilities that you want. So take a look in there. There's some fantastic features that you may want to add to your project. So, and of course, I'm going to publish the source code to this, so you can grab a copy of my my instructions file here and use that if you'd like as a starting point and tweak and customize as you need. It's running, right? What did you do? That looks like it ran properly. I don't know. Blah, 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 blah. Add back the Olama integration. Okay. Starting the dashboard. There it is. Come on, you know how to go over there and run it. I hit stop and it closes it. That's what's going on. I'll run it for it. It's running now in the background. Access the dashboard and I'm going to copy in this location. Go. Let's see what it comes up with. Your son woke up? Oh, no. Oh, I'm sorry, Dr. Cock. That's awful. Now, this is trying to use a thing called Simple Browser here, and I'm not a fan of it because I never see anything in this. I really think this is broken here. If I open this in my browser, there we go. So this is called the Aspire dashboard. This is showing me the collection of resources that we defined to be able to build our little chatbot. So we're right at the start here. So you can see there's my AI, Gunnar AI. There's my embedding model that I can use that's going to generate these vectors for me. Here's my database, the Quadrant database, and I'm able to actually even look in at a dashboard. Let me get the API key for this. I know it's down here. There it is. And now I can see the quadrant database. And it'll build out collections as we go and work with data here. Terrific. So, and here's my little chatbot running, and I can see it's just logging the time once a second. Big deal. We're going to set this up so that it's listening to Discord and eventually interact there. Hey, thanks for the follow. I appreciate it. Samoa, welcome. Is Quadrant running in a Docker container? Yes. So this is a Docker container. Remember, I referred to Docker as a way for us to package our program so that it can run in various places. Same thing with these little databases. This is packaged as a little container, it's called. A Docker container is the name of the tool. And so is my Ollama, my AI model that we're going to use here. It's packaged in a little portable container that I can take to various computers and run. And Aspire allows me to start those up and stitch them together easily for me. Has Aspire built the container? Well, it downloaded the container and started it. They're all running out here. Like, right? I can see there's Quadrant running. Right? And here's Ollama. There's the language model tools. So we can start connecting these together, right? And actually, I've got a little graph here that'll show me that here's my database out here. Here's the chatbot. It's referencing the model that's coming out of the Gunnar AI. Well, I need to connect this to the database as well over here. Let me see what Claude did for us. So Claude set up these 3 resources. It added the Ollama model for embeddings called Nomic Embed Text. That's a reasonable embedding model. It'll be used to generate embeddings for the Gunnar product data. It started my vector database, and it connected and set up a service architecture, one that will do embeddings, generate the vectors for the blocks of text that we're going to analyze from the Gunnar website, and the vector service that'll actually interact with our Quadrant database to allow us to look up and do those knowledge-based types of interactions, right? So we've got some next steps that it wants me to do. Monitor the dashboard. We tried that. We need to add some product data. Yeah, we'll build that too. And then we need to actually implement the Discord bot connection. So let me do a couple things here just to get us over the hump. So I'm going to go back to this app host CS. It added a reference to the database. It added a reference there, but it didn't show up. I should have seen a connection there. Okay. I guess not. If I go back to the table, let me just take a peek in here. Look at the details of this. There's the connection string to the AI right there. And the connection string to the database. What are you? Yeah, that's fine. So it knows how to connect to those other resources. M Rocks Forever. How you doing there? With the question, is the Aspire dashboard, this interface, is it meant to be accessed in a production context or just for a better development experience? The answer is maybe. It's initially designed for a better developer experience because there's limitations that this has been built with so that it's optimized to start and run fast. And we know that folks want a more enterprise-grade experience for monitoring telemetry, looking at logs and information about the application system running. So folks are going to want to use tools like Datadog, SolarWinds, Pingdom, Azure App Insights, these things that are already out there that they're already familiar with, even Prometheus with Grafana, right? And I know the non-technical folks are like, what the heck is Fritz talking about? They're other products that folks in the enterprise space already know how to use. That said, this does run in a container as well, the dashboard. There are instructions that will let you set it up and run it in your production space. It does have limitations for how many logs it will retain and display for you. That said, that might be good enough for you, but it will not keep historical log information. There is a limit, after which point it kind of spills over and says, I don't know what to do now. And you have to restart it at that point. But for a monitoring tool, works just fine. So, fantastic question. Thanks so much for asking that. So I've got just the pieces here to get started. In fact, no. Let me park right there because we're just about at the end of our time with our friends from Gunnar. I'm going to save these changes. I'm going to push them into that GitHub repository, that source code location, so that other folks can take a look at it, learn from it, try it out. Because next time, we're going to hook this up so that it starts reading the Gunnar website, saving the data, and then start looking at answering some questions and interacting with Discord. So let me save that and sync or push those changes out to GitHub so that other folks can download it. So now when I go out to that website, there's additional information. My Copilot instructions that was being asked about, they're right there. And the initial block of source code that I wrote is right here. Okay? Now, I've built this with .NET 10. There's a release candidate of that available right now here in the beginning of October 2025. And I'm using Aspire 9.5, the latest version of .NET Aspire. So it is for a better developer experience, but you can use it for more. That's right. So that source code is available. It's just a starting point, but there's a link to it. Let me head back to the main screen over here. I want to make sure I talk about some of the other Gunnar glasses that are out there on offer. It's absolutely fantastic, the glasses and models they have available out there, because they've done so much to be fashion forward, to integrate and show you the cool things that are part of some of the things that you might be a fan of. Like, no, I didn't want to, that's not the right one. That's not the box that I thought I had. Hurry up, Fritz. There it is. You might be a fan of World of Warcraft, and they've got a fantastic World of Warcraft. I have the Horde glasses here. Comes in a cool bag with the Horde logo on it, and they've got the Horde logo etched on the side there, and it's also at the bottom of the lenses. You see it right there? So they do little things like that to make it a little bit cooler for you. Not only do they have Horde, they also have Alliance, and they've made a Sylvanas purple pair of glasses that have all the appearance and look of the Dark Lady from World of Warcraft, if you're into that kind of thing. Of course, they've been making glasses for Fallout. Yeah, my green screen's playing games with that. So Fallout glasses, those are available. They have Overwatch glasses, all kinds of different genres, fandoms. They make glasses that appeal to those fandoms. I've even got a pair of Tony Stark glasses, right? The Friday glasses you see him wear in the Spider-Man movies. Fantastic stuff. So make sure you check out the folks at Gunnar.com. They've been supporting us with today's stream. They have coupons out there. Check out just below on my Twitch channel. You can see that there's a link that will help you get a 15% discount on a pair of Gunnar glasses that you buy And there was something else about that. It's the coupon code C-Sharp, CSHARP, and that'll get you 15% off your first pair of Gunnar glasses. Hey, that's all the time I have for today's stream. We're right at the end with our friends from Gunnar. Thank you so much for watching, for being a part of today's stream. Yeah, there you go, Ravnos. There's one more question here. Do I prefer using Visual Studio Code rather than Visual Studio? I like them both. I've been using a lot of Visual Studio Code recently, but I like them both. The new Visual Studio 2026 is fantastic. So, with that, thank you so much, all of you out there that tuned in. We're going to continue this next Thursday. 2 weeks from now. And we're going to continue building on and adding features to our Gunnar chatbot. I gave you a link to the source code there in chat, and we'll have more fun next time. Alrighty? Have a fantastic rest of your day, wherever you might be. I wish you good health and good coding. Take care. There's the button.